And welcome back. This is Nighttime Live here on the Mighty 790 KFGO and KFGO.com. Bob Harris here with you. And everybody loves their pets, especially dogs. And I have a lady here who's joining us right now who has made a business out of pet sitting out in Los Angeles. Her name is Laura Vorreyer, and she joins us right now to tell about this new book of hers called The Pet Sitter's Tale. And Laura, thank you for joining us here on KFGO.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
By the way, you're no stranger to cold weather, by the way. You may be out in L.A. right now, but you are kind of a Midwestern girl, aren't you?
Oh, it's one of the reasons I left. Cold weather. Couldn't stand it.
Now, did you mean to start a pet sitting service? This kind of came around by accident, didn't it?
Completely by accident, Bob. Came out to L.A. from Chicago to be a makeup artist, had stars in my eyes, was going to collect Academy Awards and see my name on the big screen and work with, all sorts of talented actors and actresses, and just came out to L.A. and kind of had my butt handed to me. So I accidentally fell into dog walking when I was a struggling makeup artist, happened to run into a celebrity who asked me if I was a professional dog walker, and I had no other answer but yes at the time.
And by the way, that person who talked to you, I believe the one you're talking about, has been on this show before, Paula Poundstone.
You're kidding. You know what? I haven't talked to Paula in so long. I don't even know if she's in the book or not. But I feel like she absolutely put me on my right path because she asked me that fateful question that day, are you a professional dog walker? And I said yes to that, and I never looked back. And I kind of wonder, well, I'm sure she'll find out eventually, that, she kind of changed the trajectory of my life because it gave me an opportunity to start a whole new career.
And what was that line she used as you left? Have you got a card?
Yeah. Do you have a business card on you? I was like, oh, I don't have money on me right now.
So you went from her dog, which was a rather large pooch, if I remember correctly in the book. Where did it advance from there? How did you know that this was going to be maybe a turning point for you?
Oh, so naturally. So I would walk Paula's dog, and when I would put the dog back, people would come up to me and say, "Oh, I see you walk Paula's dog. You want to walk my dog too." And her assistant would give me clients to say, "Hey, Paula has some friends, and they heard that you're doing a great job for her. Would you be available to walk them too?" And it just organically snowballed, and I hadn't had to do any advertising at that point. Actually kind of dawned on me later, like, hey, I could even do better if I did some advertising. But I didn't have to do any of that stuff in the very beginning. Initially, I just got a lot of clients from friends and friends of Paula's and just from walking around in the neighborhood.
Word of mouth sometimes is the best advertising.
Absolutely. Well, 15 years ago, they just had SEO. It wasn't like everything was social media and, websites and all this other stuff. It was very organic, word of mouth. And, at the time, people weren't really dog walking and pet sitting professionally. You would ask your neighbor's kid to do it. You would do a trade with somebody to do it. It wasn't like as, really dialed in as it is right now. So I was just right place, right time.
So maybe you could tell us a little bit of the things that some of these dogs out in L.A. get a little more pampered with than, say, dogs that you and I might own?
Oh, absolutely. So, the dogs that are owned by, like, celebrities, I say, they're riding in limousines, they're going on private jets, they're taking, world-class vacations. They're on yachts. They're, in Chanel bags. They're eating chef-prepared food. They're eating the best food. Human-grade food. It's human-made food, especially to them in their particular diet. And, they're really over-the-top spoiled. They have smart beds, they have custom houses, they have handmade, chokers and leashes and collars. You name it. They have it all and more.
Do you, when somebody says, I want you to walk my dog, do you immediately get along with the dog? I would imagine it's got to be kind of a give and take type thing, huh?
Well, I do something which I know, like now, these on-demand dog walking companies don't do, and I'm not sure how they do it, but When somebody calls and they want dog walking, I do a complimentary meet and greet. Usually is about 20 to 30 minutes. I go over there to the environment that the dog lives and stays in, and I meet the client, and I meet the dog, make sure everyone's tail's wagging when we meet, and that way I know that the dog's not aggressive, that the client is somebody I'm willing to work with, that the house is in a location that I'm comfortable with, and so I always meet first. And 95% of the time, the dog's friendly and happy-go-lucky, but on some occasions, the dog has aggression, or the dog was a guard dog, and it's trained to these German commands that I'm going to have to learn, or the dog was going to bite my face off. So you do really have to be careful. And in my opinion, you should always go meet the dog first. I mean, it's kind of common sense.
There is on occasion too, by the way, I read in the book where you actually do stay overnights. I would imagine that's kind of a. Well, I guess in my mind, I would be a little scared to do that. I would think, but what.
I guess looking back at it, I was younger and eager to take on all the business I could and never really say no to clients. But the issue was the houses I was staying at had this little rule, like an unspoken rule. It had to be nicer than my house. So it had to be worth it to me to go stay in a celebrity's house. So somebody who lives in Bel Air and they have, 17 bedrooms and they have a custom kitchen and they have 2 pools and and you get paid to stay there. Why wouldn't you? I mean, you'd be like, okay, I'll do it. No, I'm happy to stay here. So that was my kind of little rule. Is if it's not nicer than my house, I'm not doing it. But if it is, and a lot of times the houses were amazing, then I did it. But when I taught class, that was one of the questions that came up a lot was, aren't you scared to stay at someone else's house? And typically, no. I mean, sometimes you get a creepy feeling at someone's house because you're not used to the noises or the sounds or, what's going to happen while you're sleeping, but you can kind of get over that.
Yeah, and you, by the way, when you do that, I thought it was interesting, too, because I've babysat my sister's dogs a couple of times when they've been down in Cancun, and you actually do the sheets and make the bed, and, you probably have it looking better than when the people left.
Yeah, I try and do that. I instruct all the people that work with me the same thing. Even if you walk in a house that's pristine, try and leave it just a little bit neater than when you found it, because no one likes to come home to a messy house. You've been on vacation and you come home and you left in a hurry and your house is a mess and there's dishes in the sink and you're like, oh, now I came home in my house, I still got to clean my house, So I think it's nice. I think it's a little bit of going, the extra mile, going a little bit above and beyond.
The Pet Sitter's Tale, Laura Vorreyer is our special guest. I we get that name right, and it is available now. We'll tell you about that in just a couple of moments. Laura, we're going to take just a real brief break. We'll come back in just a moment. I got a few more questions I got to ask you, okay?
Great.
We're back. The Pet Sitter's Tale, Laura Vorreyer is Vorreyer. Laura Vorreyer is our special guest tonight here on KFGO. It got so big that you had to find help. Was that difficult to find help as far as walking all these animals?
Oh, yeah. Finding the help has been the biggest challenge. It remains the biggest challenge. I mean, I think that any business or any employee will tell you it's the bane of their existence. It's just a headache because for me, I take it very seriously. It's my livelihood. It's my reputation. They're my clients. They're people's 3 children and fur babies. But to other people, it's just a gig. It's just a little extra money. It's just something they're doing to make ends meet. They don't love it. It's not going to be a career for them. And they don't take it seriously. So they, and also it's unskilled labor for the most part. So they just kind of treat it like, any other sort of babysitting job, and they don't take it that serious. So, yes, it can be really trying to find the right person for the job.
Have you ever had somebody come up and say, well, heck, you charge too much. I'm not going to ask you to do this. When I read here, you seem to have fairly decent fees for doing this for these celebrities.
Yeah, the funny thing is, when Paula asked me how much I charge, I threw out a number just like from thin air, and I've never really raised my rates. But the funny thing is that I've seen that over the years, people have come up, they've raised their rates, and now their rates are even more than mine. So I have to take a good hard look at that. I was actually just talking to another dog walker, and she said, well, I charge $30 for 30 minutes. And I said, oh, boy, I'm still at 25. And I said, I got to get my rates up. But I'm so used to being 25, and plus I know how to count by 25. So I've kept it at that. But, yeah, no, you can do really good at it. I mean, you can make a full-time job out of it, positively.
Do you still drive around in that Volkswagen then?
I don't. You know, I had the wrap on my Highlander for a long time, and it just got to be, you know, it was the only car I had. It just got to be a complete lack of anonymity, and everybody knew me wherever I went. And, you know, you just, after a while, I thought, I'm going to take the wrap off the car. It's just, people would constantly come up to me. They'd call the number. They'd want to say hi, and it was fine and great. But you know, when I got a new car, I didn't wrap it.
Oh, by the way, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you. You not only are the pet sitter, the dog walker, but you also are an inventor, and you talk about this invention concerning poop.
Yeah,
in the book as well, and turned out to be fairly successful for you, didn't it?
Oh, it did. Oh, my gosh. I was obsessed with that. So I invented a product. It's called the Doggie Doo All, and it's a dog leash attachment that dispenses bags and wipes. Seemed to me like a very natural marriage of two products that you kind of want when you're picking up a lot of poop. So, you know, you clean up after the dog with the bag, and then you could wipe your hands. You could use the wipe on your dog. You could use the wipe on your feet. You know, and so many things can go wrong when you're walking a dog. You're holding a phone. You've got coffee in your hand. So, yeah, that was the leash attachment I invented called the Doggie Doo All, and I pretty much sold out of the container, but I still sell the wipes on Amazon. They're called Doggie Doo All wipes. And, yeah, that was quite an adventure.
The other thing I wanted to mention for the folks is that you talk about a lot of interesting things in your lives and various different animals and different clients. But at the end of the book, you talked about an animal passing, your dog passing. And, you know, for many, many folks, that's one of the most difficult times in people's lives. I know when we lost a dog several years ago, I don't think I cried as hard anywhere else than when that dog passed away. And you talk a little bit about the passing of a dog.
You know, it's interesting you say that. My dad, when I was a little girl and our dog died, I had never seen my father cry ever. You know, he was a Marine. He was a real sort of like archetypal male. And I never saw I didn't see him really express any emotions, but I never saw him cry. And when we put our dog to sleep, my father bawled like a baby, and it was very sad. Oh, it's deeply saddening when people lose their pets. It's you know, it's like losing your best friend and your furry child. We get that unconditional love from our pets. You really, you know, with humans, you know, yeah, you're going to have your ups and downs with somebody, and you go through different emotions, and, you know, you've seen somebody at their best or the worst, but, you know, your dog loves you, your pets love you unconditionally, and they accept you the way they are, and, you know, you're perfect to them. So when we lose them, oh, boy, yeah, really sad, very difficult.
Did you have to go through any of that sort of thing with one of your clients?
Absolutely, and that's one of the stories I think you're talking about. It's called Your Dog Died.
Yeah.
And I was pet sitting for really good clients of mine. They had gone to Hawaii. One of their daughters was getting married in Hawaii, and I was, you know, taking care of their dog. And he was an old guy, 17, or a 17-year-old golden retriever, and I just, for some reason, you know, they had him going to doctors all the time, and he was underneath care of all these different specialists, and he was taking medication, and he seemed fine, and he passed away while I was watching TV in the guest room. And I came out of the guest room, and I walked by him, and I looked at him, and I thought, gosh, you know, he kind of looks like he might be dead. And then I looked closer, and I thought, oh, my God, the dog has passed away. Oh, I just remember thinking, oh, please don't let it be true. And sure enough, the dog had died. So was awful, just the worst thing, because I thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to call my client. They're in Hawaii. The wedding's tonight. They're getting ready. I'm going to tell them their dog died. I'm going to ruin the wedding. It was awful. I would not want to relive it.
By the way, 17 years old for that big of a dog.
That's old.
That's old. That is old, yes. The name of your business is Your Dog's Best Friend. And Laura, do you have a place on the internet that people can check you out on?
Yes. Okay, so you can always visit me on yourdogsbestfriend.org, or you can go to the website if you want to find out more about the book. And the book is The Pet Sitter's Tale, and it's TALE.com. And check it out. You can also just buy the book on Amazon.
Got any plans for another book down the road? Got more anecdotes already to put in a new one?
Yes, I do. Because when I was writing this book, so many things came back to me, and the book was really long. I started editing it and trying to get the pictures together, and I thought, okay, well, I'll do this one, and then I'll do more Pet Sitter's Tales. So, yes, there'll be more.
Will you be dropping any other names besides Paula Poundstone?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing, you can't say anything without, somebody wanting to sue you. So,
I understand.
It's hard like that. Even, my publisher was like, you sure you want to say that? You got to sign on here, and you can't, as long as you say nice things, but, let's face it, not everything is super nice.
Well, Laura, this has been a real gas talking to you. I really thank you for joining us tonight here on KFGO. And once again, The Pet Sitter's Tale is the name of the book. Laura Vorreyer, Vorreyer. I'll spell the name out for you there, and we'll put that on our podcast as well. And thank you so much for joining us in Fargo here. And sometime if you ever come up to the our area, I'll get my sister's dogs. We can go for a walk, okay?
Oh, I love that. Well, you stay warm, and it's been a pleasure to be on. I'm so excited to talk to you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. Take care.
Stay warm. Bye.